Tonight on ABC 21's Political Radar.
Good evening and welcome everybody to this edition of Political Radar. I'm Brian McElhatton.
And I'm Jeff Newmeyer. In the next half hour, we're taking a closer look at the race for Fort Wayne's top office as incumbent Democrat Tom Henry battles it out with Republican challenger Tim Smith.
Crime, the Electric Works project, riverfront development are all issues weighing heavy on the election, and we are looking at all of them tonight.
But we begin with trash pickup, an albatross, some say, hanging around the neck of the city's mayor.
The mayor could do a lot today. The mayor could have been doing a lot over the last 18 months to self-cure and make it better for every taxpayer and every customer.
We'll get to the bottom of this, and we will help Red River any way we can to fulfill the terms and conditions of the contract.
Oh, you know this issue well, folks, so let's bring in our panel for discussion now. Joining us now, Allen County Republican Chairman Steve Shine and former City Council member and Democrat Tim Pape. Gentlemen, welcome once again. We look forward to have you weighing in on these things. And who knew that garbage collection would take such a front row seat in the mayoral campaign?
Well, it's been going on for 18 months. In fact, my friend here, Mr. Pape, back in last August, was part of the 2018 Red River Apology Tour. He went to City Council with Red River management indicating that the problem would be resolved. It's been going on before he went to City Council. It's been going on for 18 months now. And watching the news media, particularly this station, there seems to be no end in sight.
Most of the time in a mayor's race, you don't have it come down to one issue. Is it fair to say that a lot of this outcome, maybe not all of it, but a lot of this outcome could ride on how this Red River situation resolves here or doesn't resolve in the next months?
If the mayor's campaign allows the Smith campaign its continual misinformation on this issue, it could, Jeff. Let's put some context in. The mayor did historic cost savings on garbage contract with the last Republic contract. That contract was so good and saved us millions, remember, millions it saved us, that Republic would not renew their option. They did not take the option to renew it. We were back to contracting again because Republic didn't want to stick to the contract the mayor negotiated so successfully. Now, once that happened and Red River bid, state law requires the city to accept the Red River bid. The state law requires that. The mayor has foresight. He went to the state legislature. Marion County and the city of Indianapolis don't have that restriction. The only place in the state that doesn't have that restriction, and the mayor's tried to get the state legislature to change it, and the Republicans in the state legislature effectively forced us to accept the Red River contract. We are now bound by that contract.
The mayor has said on numerous occasions that this is the same contract that we were in with Republic Services. We just have a new vendor, so to speak. The problem is that we have to look to see whether a vendor is qualified to assume the responsibilities under a contract. Red River is not. The residents of Fort Wayne, the neighborhoods of Fort Wayne, they are unwilling to accept the fact that Red River has employee problems. There are driver schedule problems. That's not the residents' problems. That's the city of Fort Wayne's problem, and the mayor has to live with it. This isn't going to be a one-issue campaign, but I will tell you, one has to wonder if a mayor is competent enough to be mayor if he can't arrange for the collection of trash.
Well, I guess then that Chairman Shine believes with candidate Smith that we should fire Freistroffer and Didier and Arp and Ensley and the Republicans on council. They voted for that contract. They had the chance to stop that contract, and none of them did. And that contract, of course, brought $1 million in savings. So hanging this on the mayor, the council has to approve that expenditure and has to approve that contract.
I am going to hang it on the neighbor.
They all approve this contract.
But doesn't the buck stop with the mayor? And again, the people, I'm talking about the voters, are going to believe that the buck stops.
The buck stops with the mayor. It was the mayor's committee that recommended the contract. The mayor went to city council. The city council believed in the mayor. It should not be the responsibility of the city council. It should be the person who recommended the vendor, and that was Tom Henry.
Citizens are discerning, though. I mean, at the same time that we're having this labor problem with drivers, it's nationwide. Republic, you can find articles in the paper across the country where they had communities where they're having a hard time meeting their obligations, the same problems we're having in Fort Wayne, because they had driver shortages. So yeah, of course the executive is responsible. Of course the legislature who approved the contract, all the elected officials are responsible for it. Now, here's the where's Smith's answer? Where's the chairman's answer? Where's Smith's answer? It's easy to complain. Executive leadership is not complaining and pointing fingers. It's solving the problem.
How do you think the street workers of the city of Fort Wayne feel that they have suddenly gone from providing services for the better transportation of the city of Fort Wayne to now picking up trash.
Well, this is what I wanted to ask
because
you
they're making
about.
some good overtime.
It's good overtime. I understand that's being paid from some of the penalties, but let me ask you this. What about the wear and tear on the automobiles, the gasoline, the truck use, etc., the time away from families? My point is this, that Red River was simply not qualified to be the vendor on this contract, and the mayor needs to take responsibility.
Probably need to work
You know, I just don't know. Should City Council take responsibility, Chairman? Or are you just hanging on the mayor? Should your Republicans on City Council take responsibility?
This was a recommendation of the mayor. This was a recommendation of the mayor that the City
That's a no.
Council acted on.
So
I'm saying no.
Yes,
that is correct.
Okay, just the mayor.
That is
the people who
correct.
approved
Fair
it.
That
or
is
not-
correct.
Fair
Okay.
or not, the mayor taking the heat here, what does the mayor need to do in the next few months here to try to get this thing turned around in his favor?
I think he needs to continue doing what he's doing, which is continuing to look for solutions to the problem, and he's found some. They changed the routes. They changed the days of the week.
He has found nothing.
Pick up improved dramatically.
18
He's
months?
come
Are
with
you
other
kidding me?
solutions.
He's found solutions
Jeff,
to this?
Jeff, the choice isn't just re-elect the mayor or not. It's elect the mayor or elect Tim Smith. Does Mr.
And I would
Smith
say
have
elect
any
Tim
solutions at all?
Smith. Let me
The
just
answer to
tell you
that's
something.
no.
Tim Smith is from the private sector, and if any chief executive in the private sector let a problem of this magnitude last for 18 months, he or she would have been fired. And that's what the opportunity for the local voters have in November.
Well, I will say this is becoming quite the competitive mayor's race. What do you have to do to win it?
Well, one, I think you need to be able to run city services at a high degree of quality. We can't do trash pickup. We have terrible crime in Fort Wayne. We're unable to provide the basic services, but yet we tout these big developments in downtown Fort Wayne while leaving other very basic services unmet.
So that's not the way citizens of the city feel. But you see the Smith campaign. It's a very nasty, very negative, very
Are you
personalized
calling me nasty
campaign.
and negative?
The campaign I did. Now, you're a voice person for it, so maybe I am.
I am not a voice, I'm a believer in it.
Councilman Crawford, one of the largest vote getters ever for a Republican in the city of Fort Wayne, more votes than almost anyone.
Who, by the way-
You saw what Smith, he put out a mailer that said, John Crawford has been harmful to the
Okay,
city
let's
of
say
Fort
this.
Wayne.
Let me
and when
just say
he's
this.
trashing the mayor's record, he's trashing the record. Chairman Shine and Smith are trashing the record
Not-
of a Republican majority city council for the last 20 years.
Let me just say this. We're talking about things being put out by individuals. Your article in the Journal Gazette did more to harm John Crawford's candidacy in the primary than anything that could have happened. In fact, the way you degraded the right to life individuals, they had no reason at all to even lend a bit of support to John
All right,
Crawford.
let's leave
I'm
it
glad
here for
you
a second
recognize
because
my
I want to
point.
move on to
You're a
something
very
else now,
powerful
guys.
person.
All right, guys, let's bring it over here.
All right, we're going to turn our focus now to City Council, which is the primarily male right now, but that may soon change this coming November.
Yeah, that's right, Brian. Democrats have 4 women on the ballot. Michelle Chambers running for an at-large seat. Sharon Tucker for the 6th District. Misty Meehan is now running for the 1st District City Council seat. And Patty Hayes running in the 4th District. We heard, however, in the soundbite, we're going to hear from Michelle Chambers.
People are ready for a change. They are tired of business as usual. We really need to have a difference of opinion, a difference of approaches, of getting things done and making sure that the city continues to grow.
All right, there you go, gentlemen. I want to ask you this. Why has it taken so darn long to have women making a run and getting elected to city council?
It's basically cyclical, okay? At one point of the fact, we had an Allen County prosecutor who was a Republican and a woman, which we still do. We had the president of the Allen County Commissioners who was a woman, and Linda Bloom. We had the president of the Fort Wayne City Council who was a woman, and that's just the way it goes. Right now, we have the Democrats have women running, but of course, we have women, all 3 of our state office holders of the major office holders, Secretary of State, Treasurer, Auditor, they're all women. So again, I don't think it's fair to focus on just what's happening in Allen County, although if you will look at Allen County government, you will
Well, just
see,
city council, just the city council.
You're wanting this organization, Republican Party, locally to be more diversified. Is it kind of, what would you say to folks who say that, well, there's...
I would say that we had an excellent candidate in the 4th District running against an incumbent who she showed diversity. She wasn't successful in her campaign, in Rachel Lott, and she's going to be involved involved. We have a very strong Federation of Republican Women's Organization in Fort Wayne. We have a Teenage Republicans organization whose president is a senior at Bishop Dwenger High School and is a female. So again, it doesn't have to be just running for ballot. On the ballot, you can see the inner workings of the party. My county vice chair is a female. So again, it doesn't have to be just the outwardly public positions.
They do have a diversity candidate in the Republican Party for city election this year, and that's the 5th District City Councilman, who's a gay man,
That
who
is
the Allen
correct.
County Right to Life refused to endorse in an act of rank bigotry because he's gay. And
They
so
did not
he
refuse to
supported.
endorse him.
He
They
supported
said they
all. Let me
also
finish, Steve.
supported him.
He supported all their issues, every single one, the same that Tim Smith did, and not until Chairman Shine, candidate Smith, and all the Republican elected officials condemned the Allen County Republican Party for the bigotry, will they ever be able to have any claim or any stake or any opportunity to have diversity in their party? Now we have these four. We have these
They
four.
were bigoted at all. They actually said at the end of their endorsement that they also supported people such as Taylor Vanover. And Taylor Vanover is an excellent candidate for the 5th District and really represents that very diversified district quite well.
So they admitted their mistake and they've endorsed him now.
No, I didn't say they endorsed him. No, I said back in the spring they said they also supported the candidacy of Taylor Vanover, who supported their ideals.
They refuse to endorse him because he's gay.
That is not true.
These four women. Let me answer this. Let me answer
They
the
never
question you
said
asked.
that once.
Let me answer the question.
That's the meaning to that group. There are a lot of people who believe in the right to life cause here, and you have done nothing but to vilify them and they are a very important asset and a political asset.
They should stand up against the bigotry.
Well, I have not seen them.
The president of Allen County Right to Life had incredibly bigoted posts at the same time that they refused to endorse.
I did not
bring
see
it back
those
in here real
posts.
quick. Diversity might be on the favor of the Democrats for this race, but the Republicans, many believe, are going to continue to do well and possibly continue to have a strong hold on the majority in the council. What would you say to that? Is it your sense that that these candidates from the Democratic side have a chance to make some real movement
I
here?
think we probably have the strongest slate of candidates for city council than we've had in quite some time. Very energized, very motivated, very accomplished individual. These four women that we've been talking about are part of that team that they're going to run. They're going to run a coordinated campaign, and so I think it's going to be extremely competitive this year.
Let's talk about
It's
that
been
team.
competitive. It's been more competitive each year as we've gone on.
Let's talk about that team. You can see on the television right now, Misty Meehan. She's in there as a ringer. She's the Allen County Democratic chairman. They had nobody else to win in that district. So in order to try to salvage a few votes in the 1st District over a very good Councilman, Paul Inslee, she throws herself in. Okay, Patty Hayes, she's more of a moderate, she is a Republican in sheep's clothing, so to speak. And I have also believed that Ms. Chambers, I think she's had some issues in her previous employment with the city clerk's office as the reason why she's not there anymore. And I'd like to hear more about that.
We got to move on.
You got a
Unfortunately,
recording of that too?
Of what? No, I didn't record anything. I didn't record
All right,
anything.
guys. Hey, we're going to keep this machine moving along. We now move to South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg's quest to be the next commander-in-chief. We'll take a look at his recent setbacks in the field of the Democratic presidential hopefuls, that big field, next.
Out from the shadow of systemic racism. Whatever this particular incident teaches us, we will be left with the bigger problem of the fact that there's a wall of mistrust put up one racist act at a time, not just from what's happened in the past, but from what's happening around the country in the present. It threatens the well-being of every community.
All right, many of you watched that on television. South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg on the debate stage Thursday night addressing that police action shooting in South Bend.
Yeah, Brian, a setback for the rising star in the Democratic field of presidential candidates, even taking a break from the campaign trail to address that particular issue mentioned there. We bring the panel back in. Allen County Republican Party Chairman Steve Shine, Tim Pape, a leading Democrat here in our area. First of all, size up this Buttigieg thing. First of all, I think a lot of people are surprised at how much traction he's gotten in this presidential field to start with.
I don't think he read, and maybe some of your viewers will not remember the name of John Lindsay, the former mayor of New York City. Mr. Pape and I are of the age that we can remember John Lindsay, and he had both a biography and an autobiography, and obviously Mayor Buttigieg has not read that. And that is, it's really a minefield out there running for the President of the United States as a mayor, because all of the little incidents are so noticeable whether it's a police shooting, whether it's garbage pickup, whether it's a water problem such as they had in Flint.
If you can't handle X, then you can't handle this
those are
at the national level.
magnified to a great degree, whereas somebody in Congress or in Senate, they can insulate themselves from larger problems. So it's a difficult situation. Now, I commend Mayor Buttigieg in being able to raise that money, and quite frankly, I'm so surprised because he lost to the likes of Richard Murdoch when he ran for state treasurer, and I can't remember when that was. I think it was back in 2010, but Buttigieg lost that race by one of the largest majorities, pluralities for Murdoch in the state's voter history. So it makes me wonder how he's going to do here.
Tim, when you look at this as an observer here, do you think that what we're talking about here with some of the issues of race within his police department, the police department is shrinking in terms of its diversity, not very highly representative with black officers. Are those things that are going to be like a death knell for him, or is he able to rise above that and still be a viable candidate here?
The caveat to my answer, Jeff, is remains to be seen, right? We'll see how it plays out. But as of right now, it's probably been a positive for him, in my view. You're running nationally and you're the mayor of a modest-sized city in Indiana. You want your name out as much as possible, and this has got his name out. And he is getting a lot of credit for how he's responded, for what he's said, for what he's communicated. So I think he's taken a potentially damaging issue, and I think he's made it something that is not a negative for him yet, and he's got a lot of good press out of it, and that's what he wants right now. So it remains to be seen, but I think that there's probably a certain constituency in the Democratic Party that he maybe wasn't the #1 vote for anyway, that this would most greatly impact. And I think he's showing even those voters that he understands and he's responsive to those needs. So I think at the end this could be a very positive thing. No candidate is going to go without some challenges, without some hiccups and some road bumps. President Trump would be the best example of that in our mind right now.
I would not compare Buttigieg to President Trump.
You've got so many candidates.
A 180.
You've got so many candidates running on the Democratic side of things right now. We had a debate over 2 nights. I don't remember the last time that happened. Granted, it's so early in the process.
Parking spots.
But still, look at all the candidates there. How does the party unite behind one person? Is it going to be difficult to get people to agree?
It is the beginning of July 2019. We have plenty of time for the front runners to come forward. We should be celebrating this. We should be celebrating all those candidates. We should be celebrating the diversity of the candidates, the diversity of the ideas. Everybody is so critical of different ideas, anything out of the mainstream. Let's celebrate. We're supposed to be this hotbed of democracy. We're supposed to be an experiment, right? We're supposed to be the place that really advances democracy. What could be better than having this large group of candidates with diversity of ideas?
Totally agree. In fact, after watching the 2 debates last week, I celebrated. In fact, I want more debates like that. I like people saying, vote for me and I'll give it to you free, free, free. Basically, you had a great display of a varying degree of socialistic candidates on the stage both nights. Nobody had the guts to back away from socialism. Yet that is not the way this country is going or should be going.
Now, one thing that isn't healthy is to call new ideas socialism.
I'm not calling new ideas
socialism. Mr. Schein doesn't understand what socialism is, or he's trying to redefine it.
No, when you have a one-size-fits-all and the government paying for everything.
But let's talk about free. Let's talk about free.
Yes.
We gave free public education, and it was the bedrock to a great economy in a liberal, progressive, democratic, free society. The idea that we would give free college education when it's critical to have higher education to have an opportunity in this country anymore. Can we stop calling it socialism and just saying, wow, that's a powerful idea?
That is just part of the plan. There's free college, free medicine, the green plan or policy, whatever is being proposed. Those are extremely liberal, socialistic ideas. And just because 1 or 2 ideas where the government intervenes and gets involved with the program may be good, that doesn't mean that the entire running of this country should be turned over to the government. And that's what I hear from the Kamala Harrises, from the Elizabeth Warrens, from all of the socialistic thinking candidates who are on the Democratic debate.
Let me bring it back real quick to Buttigieg, and that is there some relationship between he and Trump? And I say that their philosophies wouldn't be similar, but yet the idea that the outsider, the connection voters have with outsiders. I mean, he's outside Washington. Buttigieg is. I mean, is there some correlation there?
Sure. That's really smart, Jeff. And I'd say, look at the mayor's race, the city council, the presidency. Mayor Pete is connecting. The president connected, obviously. He connected more than Hillary did. And the candidate that connects almost always wins.
I don't know who Buttigieg is connecting.
And the reason he's not a lost face among those 20, like so many are, is he's connected. One of the ways he's connected is he's reclaimed the social progressivism of Jesus Christ in politics and policy. And he's challenged directly the idea that Christianity boils down to the fetus and gays.
All right.
And he's a very disingenuous person when he talks about that. He just absolutely spewed untruths about Mike Pence when he was asked about the same thing.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the vice president, because up next, the president says he is 100% behind Vice President Mike Pence as his running mate. But where does he stand when it comes to future presidential run, possibly, for Mr. Pence? We'll take a look at that issue. Buckle your seatbelts. We're back in moments. Well, 2019 is not a presidential election year. You would know that, though, from everything we've been seeing on television. But already, lots of attention being focused on the main contenders in next year's race.
Yeah, Democrats seeking to become the next commander-in-chief in the months ahead will be attacking President Trump and his policies. Indiana's own Vice President Mike Pence, by all accounts, has been a faithful soldier in the Trump administration. But in recent days, there's been some question about President Trump's full support for Pence, at least as it relates to a possible Pence for president run in 2024. Let's bring our panel back in again here. Allen County Republican Party Chairman Steve Shine, again, leading Democrat in our area, Tim Pape, former city council member. So tell us a little bit about this idea of Pence and Trump. Do you get the sense when Trump was asked straight on whether he would back a 2024 presidential run by Pence, he said, well, hey, that's too far out. Don't put me on the spot.
I totally agree with that.
What's that all about
there? Extremely prudent of Pence. He's going to need the support of Republicans across the board to win the election in 2020. He is not going to alienate anybody who may have plans for 2024 in addition to Mike Pence. Now, I personally 100% behind Mike Pence, so I would like Mike Pence to be the nominee in 2024. But Donald Trump has to get through 2020 first. Why alienate sections of people who may not be for Mike Pence? And interestingly enough, while the president should be focusing on 2020, which he is, he said just within the last week that he 100% supports Mike Pence as his vice presidential nominee for 2020.
Well, he was hesitant to say that.
Oh, he was not hesitant to say that whatsoever. He was
the second time around.
He was hesitant to say that he would not name a choice for 2024, which was prudent politically. But he said without equivocation that he was for Mike Pence as the nominee. Mike Pence has as vice presidential nominee. Mike Pence has done a tremendous job. He's brought stability and reliability to sometimes uproarious situation.
Look, there's very little chance that President Trump is not going to have Mike Pence as his running mate. It's premature for him to say anything about 2024. Obama didn't endorse Biden, in fact, but he's going to run again with Pence, barring some scandal, or Trump being Trump, doing something just absolutely unorthodox and crazy to not have him, because Pence is the right-wing darling of the religious conservatives and evangelicals that are supporting Trump. And that's why Mayor Pete is so enticing, I think, either as the presidential candidate or vice presidential candidate or spokesman for a party on the religious issues, because he brings back to the social conscious the moral values of Catholics on economic issues and economic liberty. For example, on migrants and children and separation and children dying under the care of the United States and the people of the United States. And having moral authority and being pro-life in all ways.
If we're going to get into the immigration situation, I mean, that in itself, I think the country supports the manner in which the Trump administration is trying to get the absolute crisis situation at the border under control. I applaud what Donald Trump has done, and for the Democrats,
children not bathing, children separated from parents, that is not American.
You know what?
That is not what Americans
support. That are allowing
that is not what Christians support. I was a stranger and you welcomed me.
That is not a United States
problem.
problem.
Let me get back to the vice president. There's been talk that Nikki Haley, the former representative to the UN ambassador, might be the better choice to run with Trump in 2020. Yeah, what do you say to that?
I saw that, but once again, Donald Trump chooses who the nominee will be, and he said he is 100% behind Mike Pence. Nikki Haley has said previously that she is not a candidate for the vice presidency, that she wanted to spend more time with her family. That is why she left the United Nations position. I'm going to take her for that word, and it makes no difference whether she wants it or not. Pence has been endorsed by Trump 100% for the 2020 vice presidential nomination.
He's going to stick with Pence, no doubt. He needs those evangelical votes.
And a good man. Well, again, why do you always criticize the evangelical votes? Your criticism of that kind of vote cost John Crawford the election. And I know you think that you've got a lot of power, and you did in that. But the power went the wrong way, quite frankly.
It's not a criticism of evangelicals at all.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for a boisterous debate this time around. We appreciate it. We'll see you again in a few months before the big election. In the meantime, that wraps up this edition of Political Radar. On behalf of Jeff Neumeyer, myself, and all of us here, have yourself a good evening.